So we are live to the audience now. We can start the session, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much. So good morning, all the viewers, and welcome to Live Pharma Coalition 96th episode. At the onset, we would like to convey our gratitude to each and every speakers, each and every viewers who have supported us continuously to reach this platform. As you know, very shortly we are going to have a century of Live Pharma Coalition. We are delighted, we are excited, and we are really humbled to have you all and your support in this learning and sharing platform, which is now a largest global platform on online discussion. You will agree with me that when it comes to manufacturing leadership, India is known as pharmacy capital of India, of the world, because we have expertise. But pharma manufacturing requires lot of expertise and compliance. So let us understand from the subject matter experts today that what is there, what are the key challenges, and what is the risk of non-compliance. Not only that, what is Pharma 4.0? So these are there in our today's episode. Before beginning, a brief introduction of Live Pharma Coalition. Let me share the presentation. So we are really humbled and grateful to all our past eminent speakers, our core team members for their continuous support and encouragement. And we are delighted to announce LPC 100 conclave, which will be held on Sunday, 20th March in Mumbai. We are looking forward to you all to be there. So for collaboration, for taking part as a speaker, coordinator, participant, please reach out to us in the given number, Raman, Yashwant, ICS, and Arpan, and definitely we can collaborate and take it forward. And the formal announcement will be happening later. We are thankful to our support partner, Imagica Health, which is mainly into pharmaceuticals, customer engagement, bringing customers betterment, engagement, bringing patient centricity, improving control on the sales team, and increasing the return on investment of various marketing campaigns. Thank you very much, Imagica Health. And let us come to today's LPC-96 manufacturing leadership. We are really delighted to have Mr. Chakravarti AVPS, CEO and MD, EcoBliss India, Mr. Prashant Sharma, CTO, Zydus Group, and Mr. Ranjit Barshikar, CEO, Quality by Design International. So before much delay, let us start the session. And to help me, I have two co-moderator, Satwant Kaur Mankumen and Arpan Kumar Paul, our storyteller and core team member. So at the beginning, I would like to welcome Chakravarti AVP sir. Sir, thank you very much for joining. A brief overview of your topic. What is your opinion about manufacturing leadership?
Well, good morning, gentlemen and ladies. It's a wonderful opportunity to speak to all of you and with the audience, global audience on this pleasant Sunday morning. Definitely, as my slide shows, the pharmacy of the world, we are all proud of India, the way it progressed from nowhere to now becoming an exporter for 215 countries. But today, manufacturing is very critical and the whole supply chain is very critical. So I would like to talk on some very basics of, while all those basics are known to everybody, the audience as well, but it starts as a trigger for this today's deliberations and the great insights. I'm also looking eagerly forward to listen from the great expert and legends like Dr. Prashant Sharma ji from Zydus CEO and Ranjit Barishkar also. My presentation sets the tone in a very basic sense of a manufacturing value chain and what are all the key things in it, and a few of the non-compliance risks of non-compliance as well. So that it's going to be a very brief presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for accepting our invite and spending time with our viewers. And then we have Mr. Prashant Sharma, Chief Technical Officer, Zydus Group. Sir, welcome to LPC. A brief overview, your opinion on manufacturing leadership.
So, as we just said, pharmacy of the world, I think that places a big, humble responsibility on the shoulders of the entire pharma community and the extended pharma community, our suppliers, our C&F agents, everybody who's connected one way or the other with the pharma and, eventually reaching the medicines to customers. In my opinion, pharma leadership, manufacturing leadership resides right at the shop floor and with the field force, right? These are the two set of most important employees or leaders who truly provide pharma leadership or manufacturing leadership. In case of manufacturing leadership, it's a shop floor. And the industry's sustainable success in compliance, cost leadership, agility will depend upon how effectively we groom our shop floor to lead manufacturing and to define our manufacturing initiatives and make them successful. So that is my humble opinion on pharma manufacturing leadership.
Thank you very much, sir. And you are known for agile leadership and learning, creating a learning platform. So we'll definitely would like to know from you how you build a high performance team and your message to the leaders of today to build a high performance team. We are looking forward to learn from you, sir. And then we have our own Ranjit Barsikar, sir. And sir is CEO QBD. I was surprised. What is this QBD? And then I came to know Quality by Design. What a name he has given to his organization, Quality by Design International. So, sir, thank you very much for accepting our invite. A brief overview of your topic, Ranjit, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, LPC, for inviting me today for this 96th webinar, which
I think sir is disconnected. We'll definitely yes, continue, sir.
Are you on?
Yes, audio. You're audible, sir.
Okay, great. So I'm thankful to LPC for invite today on the 96th program on the subject of pharmaceutical manufacturing leadership. And in this case, when we are looking at manufacturing leadership, I would slightly go one step up as a pharmaceutical leadership of the world. And when I see rightly at the background of Dr. Chakravarti, Pharmacy of the World, which is coined by our Prime Minister almost 2 years ago. And this is, our country has taken a big leadership in pharmaceutical manufacturing to supply to the world, almost, I think, 215 countries, as rightly mentioned by Dr. Chakravarti. So I am very pleased with this kind of achievement of our industry and very proud that I was associated, rather I am associated for last 51 years with this industry. And it's a really pride moment for me to continue the service to the industry even today and tomorrow also. Now, manufacturing leadership, when I'm looking at for today and tomorrow from the perspective of the Quality by Design and Pharma 4.0, and the new concept which has come up now in the industry with the support of FDA as well as with the ISPE, excellent guidelines on that, what pharma should do in future to minimize the problems, to minimize the compliance issue, and how to automate all the systems so that human intervention is minimized for a betterment of the industry, no doubt about that, but for at the end, for a better product quality to the consumers. So I'm going to cover this aspect today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. As a matter of fact, you have total 51 years of experience and my age is 50. So looking forward to learn from you. You are an institute for us, sir. Lot of learning we can have. And along with me to support co-moderator, Arpan is there. Arpan Paul, known face in Live Pharma Coalition. Arpan, welcome to LPC. How are you feeling?
Well, thank you so much, Yashwant sir. Well, the feeling is very immense because it is said that a journey cannot become a movement without the support of the well-wishers. So, and the well-wishers that we have are our participants, our speakers, and most importantly, the entire pharma industry. So it is said that when a drop of water falls in a lake, it loses its identity. But when the same drop of water falls in a leaf, it shines. And this is exactly what Live Pharma Coalition has been to the pharmaceutical industry. Every week, we have had speakers across the length and breadth of this wonderful pharma industry. And they have shared their knowledge, their experience, and their learning to all of us, by which we were enlightened. We became more knowledgeable, and the sparks of knowledge came into us. And that is why we are right now in the 96th episode. And 4 weeks from now, that is the 20th of March 2020, we will be celebrating the 100th episode. And believe me, friends, this couldn't have been possible without you. And that is why you are so important to all of us. Well, I am Arpan Kumar Paul, and I have been a regular part of Live Pharma Coalition. I am a storyteller, as Yashwant sir already said. I'm a motivational speaker, a training consultant, and an MC. So I'm looking forward to learning from all the three of you during the course of this session, and I wish all the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Arpan, to start in a big, inspiring note. And over to you, Satwan ma'am. Thank you very much once again. In a short notice, you accepted our invite as Hitesh sir was not available. So over to you, Satwan ma'am, for the introduction of first speaker. Unmute, please. Ma'am, unmute. Ma'am, unmute. Your audio is not coming. Okay. So by the time viewers, thank you very much for joining. There are a lot of learning. Yes, now.
Yeah, I'm on. Because audible. I have come on the 2 points, because the mobile and this. So
go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, eminent speakers. Good morning, LPC-96 audience. Thank you so much for the LPC program, which is a learning and sharing platform. And we are immensely getting enriched by the knowledge that is getting shared on this platform. And very soon, as Yashwant and Arpan has pointed out, we are hitting a century in another next 4 weeks. And we look forward to the celebrations and more learning and sharing and rewarding of session in that. And thank you so much, eminent speakers today, Ranjit sir, Prashant sir, and Chakravarti sir on the program. I'm Satwan Kaur Manku. I am, as I say, like looking into the experience of the speakers today. We are a very small, like our age is also not tallying to the experience of Ranjit sir. Of course, I can say, like, you know, I am a year or two older than in age when it comes to the experience. But it's real pleasure to meet on this platform a person with such a huge experience, and it is delighted to be taking an interview of eminent speakers like you all on this platform. I am in the industry for a very short period of around 32 years, and I have been into the sales and marketing, and I have worked with Protec, a division of Cipla, then with Solus Ranbaxy, Universal Medicare, and Zydus Cadila. We can't miss out on Zydus, and we can't miss out on the support of the factory we had it. And I am currently a consultant by the and I have my own agency by the name Vivid Management Services. We are mainly into brand management, learning and development programs, and recruitment placements. So this is a very short introduction of mine, and I'm also like of a believer that if you want to learn more, so you should teach more. So I am associated with Nasimunji as a visiting faculty. So this is a short introduction of mine. So Yashwant, thank you so much for having me on this program, and
yes,
I really appreciate that Hitesh missed out. Hitesh's loss is my gain today.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. Please, you can take this forward by introduction of our first speaker, Chakravarti APPS, sir.
Right. Okay. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have Chakravarti sir on the LPC 96. I'll go about this LPC-96. We are having the topic, as we said, current challenges and opportunities at pharma manufacturing. And I'll give a brief introduction and then go about with the sessions, handing over the session to Chakravarti sir. Mr. Chakravarti, AVPS, is a die-hard lover and an evangelist of packaging, recognized and awarded as most influential leader in the segment. Mr. Chakravarti,
skip this.
Briefly,
no,
you can tell people know him. Briefly, you
okay.
can tell key points.
Okay, the key points are he is a very simple one statement will say he's a global ambassador of World Packaging Organization.
Great.
And he is also on board with the Pharmaceutical Export Promotion Council Government of India. He is the CEO and Managing Director of EcoBliss India, and an internationally renowned company for its packaging innovation with core strength in pharmaceutical landscapes. He is a winner. He is also on the board of the Indian Institute of Packaging, chairman of the prestigious Golden Jubilee Committee and for Hyderabad Center as well. He is also a recipient of various awards, including Emmy Stars and World Stars. And he is also now acting as a jury. So it's important because our audiences will like to connect on this. And a very prestigious Golden Jubilee, and he is awarded jury on various international competitions and award programs. And he's he has visited more than 25 countries and has been a speaker, keynote speakers, and chairing the various bodies. And he very strongly feels the one line which I'll say, Chakravarti sir is fond of connecting dots across the globe. I hope you will allow me to say this statement. Spreading awareness, and he sincerely believes packaging matters for the world. Sir, over to you. And I have few questions which is coming from the packaging point of view. I'll ask you after your presentation. Over to you, Chakravarti sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Satwanji. That was not necessary. That's the only thing I would like to tell about myself is I would love to connect the dots across the world. That's the only statement
Yes.
I really like about me and which I wish to do. All other things are very fancy things, and we're all very passionate and trying to give something back to the society, and whatever we have learned so far a little bit, we always tend to share. That's a common quality among all of ourselves. I think that's the only thing which brought us onto a common platform, be it this or any other platform of this kind. Well, thank you very much, LPC and Mr. Yashwant, Dr. Barishkar. As I was telling in the initial times, today, even though I'm going to make a small presentation that talks about the basics of the key insights in the manufacturing and whole value chain, and a few risks of non-compliance, which I would like to address. But later on, I would also like to have to listen to the deep insights, Mr. Prashant Sharma, the legend in the global manufacturing, and also Dr. Barishkar, the legend in the quality function. Definitely, I would like to listen from both of those eminent people later on. Let me share this. I hope this is visible. Yeah.
Visible, sir. Visible.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, as the topic says, my dear friends, so the pharma manufacturing, the key insights to consider, of course, the risks of non-compliance, probably mostly on the regulatory packaging and labeling perspective a little later on. Thanks once again, Live Pharma Coalition, for bringing all of us onto this common platform on a pleasant Sunday this morning. And well, when we talk about overview, we just now heard from Dr. Prashant Sharma ji also. India being the pharmacy of the world, we are in a very proud situation. Many people say, well, you belong to pharmaceutical industry. Okay. But let's not feel like that. Actually, you need to tell to the world the facts. Today, under the pandemic, you call it a post-pandemic, we're still in the pandemic situation. Imagine, despite all the floods, despite all the deaths and casualties happened during the past couple of years in the past and second wave mostly, but imagine, but for the presence of this great pharmaceutical industry, I think the effect and the damage would have been multifold. And no one can deny this. So this makes us very proud of our very own industry. So let's talk about the facts whenever people, the laymen talk about us, all the pharmaceutical industry stakeholders like all of us. Well, the pharma safeguards the health. This is what I was talking about. But for the vaccines, the accelerated testings and accelerated permissions given for the vaccines following all the safe protocols, I think the effects would have been daunting across the world. But India protects ourselves and protects a lot of countries. It's highly regulated. The industry is highly regulated, as I was telling you. It's not so easy, and it's not like making pure popcorn and selling into the open market and whatever it may be. But it follows the highly regulated situations. Need to really comply with the pharmacopoeial standards. And of course, comply with the audits. This is more important, my dear friends. And then overcome intellectual property barriers. You have, whenever you want to introduce a product, it comes with a very big tag of IPR rights and all. We need to really follow and respect those protocols as well. And GMP versus CGMP. This is something which I like. The pharmaceutical industry today must follow CGMP. But when you talk about GMP, as you all know, being the stakeholders of the industry, the GMP, the good manufacturing practices, always follow the 5 Ps. Dr. Barishkar can say more about it, whether the people, premises, processes, products and procedures. But when you talk about the CGMP, it is a little much more critical because it has to, the practices have to, the regulations, undergo the regulations enforced by the FDA. Adherence to the CGMP regulations assures, of course, the identity, the strength and quality and the purity of the drug products which we all manufacture. And that requires your manufacturers of the medications adequately control manufacturing operations. So there is no compromise on it, the CGMP. And well, things to consider at manufacturing, as I was telling you, the very basics, what we talk about. Line clearance, many people take it very casually. Even in advanced countries, I have seen several countries, the manufacturing sites and all. Due regards to all their knowledge, due regards to all their commitment, it often goes unnoticed. So, the micro points, the intricacies of the line clearance. Whenever you change the batch, whenever you change strength or whatsoever, switching over to the other product line and to the line clearance, it has to be judiciously followed. There is no compromise, my dear friends. And not following an inch of it costs us very dearly. And I think all of us experienced into this. Operating instructions have to be so clear, so crystal clear. We all think, we all know, everyone know why to teach all of these things. Even many people, the operation, the floor supervisors and the floor managers, especially in the production operation area, they tend to neglect because with the urgency of the production, with the urgency of delivering goods by the day, even though they feel they know everything, of course they may be knowing everything, and there is always a danger that they do not follow the instructions properly. So one has to be very committal towards the operating instructions which are written down properly into the each processes. This is more important. Batch manufacturing process, and continuous manufacturing process, we undergo more of different chemical industries follow continuous manufacturing. Within the pharmaceutical industry also, we have both batches manufacturing and continuous manufacturing. The very clear instructions are laid down, various procedures are laid down. You need to be following judiciously, as I was telling you, the processing instructions and strictly adhering to that and following this processes. Bill of materials is most critical. Never neglect everything, everything. Before you start process, you must have the preparations. The BOM is the most critical. You cannot neglect a small single thing. Sometimes a small tape or some small material which is auxiliary, which is not into the mainstream of the production, might really cost you a bomb, both in the productivity and also the quality. So you need to be very, very, very critical on adhering to the bill of materials before you start the process. Process control, against and validation. Of course, the documentation, the reporting, documentation, scope, testing, and monitoring. When you talk about if you divide these into 2-3 stages, the stage one, as rightly said by Dr. Prashant Sharma ji, the process design, identification of process variables, this has to be kept judiciously into the mind before you start everything. You have to, it is more than like preparing for an exam, my dear friends. Normally, when you attend an exam, you prepare very well, we by heart some things and we remember some things, and then we deliver something and maybe we may pass out with a first class or distinction or a normal. But here, there is no question, there is no scope for complacency. You need to know everything right from the beginning. And then the stage 2, the control strategy, the process qualifications, and finally your stage 3, the process monitoring, need for improvement. Whatever you've been doing, you have to go on the tender hooks for the continuous improvement. Defects display, it's more important. There are a lot of gadgets and machinery available, semi and fully automatic, integrated also. Very small things we neglect, but it's not only the export market, my dear friends, even the domestic markets. The recall is a word which scares me even in our dreams. I think all of you agree. Small things like dents on the capsule, the variation in the lengths, the joints or holes, sometimes double capping in the capsule, whatsoever. Very a few print defects and all. We think that okay, they go unnoticed and they can pass ho jayega. But I think let's not really take any complacency on that. Reporting issues, it's very critical also, right from the case planning, administration, and then investigating. Of course, issue intake and triage, investigations, remediation, resolution, reporting and analytics, and the metrics. This is a whole value chain, process chain. And the testing is also more critical. It's a part of your manufacturing strategy. Of course, the incoming material has to be judiciously tested. You all have laid down procedures. Very often we tend to neglect on this area, thinking that, okay, everything is already pre-tested and all. You need to be very, very careful on allowing the material into the process before taking it to it. So right at the beginning itself, we need to test all judiciously. The process sampling is very, very critical, my dear friends. And tomorrow, if something happens, people are calling your batch process samples. Even if your process is very good and very right, if you make an error in sampling of the process, for example, there is an investigation post your production, maybe in a year later or something like that. If the sampling is not proper, definitely you will be called for an investigation, and there will be suspicious thinking in the view of your investigators. So you have to keep that also in your mind. So before taking the process sampling, the finished goods, of course, you need to follow the testing procedures very judiciously. So both incoming and in process and the finished goods. Now the equipment calibration, it is also very, very critical. You will be questioned and you will be grilled if your process equipment is not calibrated properly time to time. Testing standards and procedures have to be judiciously followed. Documentation. This is the one which I always like. Many times we skip several columns saying that, oh chalega na, theek hai. But that attitude will never be tolerated, especially in this life-saving industry. My dear friends, I'm reminding all of you, we are all stakeholders of the life-saving and life-sustaining industry. It's not a small industry. The pharmaceutical industry is something different from all other sectors. So documentation is very, very critical, my dear friends. Written down procedures, standard operating procedures, STPs and specifications, etc., have to be judiciously followed. There is no shortcuts, my dear friends. The job cards, batch records, many a times we fill up and we forget to sign also. Sometimes we have overwrite and all. Imagine, my dear friends, it's always like if you are not signing on the document, the concerned stakeholders, वो किसी बाप का किसी माँ का नहीं है वो बच्चा पैदा हुआ ऐसा होता है. Sorry for this comparison, but it is actually like this. I always keep telling my friends, if I find any document without a signature, I immediately throw it off on their face, saying that this is what. Tomorrow you will be grilled, my dear friends. You might be sincere in all recording your data and all, and then you simply forget to sign, or some reason you don't want to sign. I think that's not on. This is very important. And the change control and review procedures, I do not want to go in detail of that. Dr. Barishkar will be a legend in this situation. Definitely, he is going to elaborate on this. And this is being the important area in this. Of course, things of consideration to mitigate risk at personal training level also. Training is more important in today's circumstances. We keep getting executives at all levels, right from the basic supervisor level to a senior person. Definitely the induction program, like companies like Zydus, Pfizer and all, they have wonderful induction programs, because they do not want their newcomers in whatever stage they are inducted into and straight away onto the job. They wanted to teach the culture of the company. They wanted to teach the basics of the company, just like a student. So this is very important from all the organizations for their benefit. Today, we might be thinking we are losing few tens of hundreds of man hours by doing all these things, but this is going to help you all the organizations in the long run. Machine performance and validation, as we already talked, this has to be a frequent operation, periodical operation, time to time. And on-job training, as I was telling, is very, very critical. Skill development and enhancement. This is one area you have to be very, very cautious and careful about that. Safety first and training. Many times, even in the process, we often tend to have shortcuts in the system, in the urgency of the delivery of the goods, urgency of the productivity, improving the productivity, that kind of parameters. Never to take any shortcuts in the processes. That costs us very dearly. You need to know the first aid procedures and all on all your manufacturing operations, everybody involved into that. Employee performance. This is also very important. Many times we often tend to assess the employee by their skills like productivity and saleability and how much they sold or how much they produced, etc. But at the same time, I strongly believe each and employee's performance has to be assessed based on their sincerity, dedication, and the commitment towards the company's vision and mission. And also, basically, the entire value chain, how he is treating, how he is involving himself, how employee is involving himself and delivering goods. It's not just by the results alone. This is my firm belief. Compliant handling has to be a really a proper format. Kappa, this is very common, but I strongly believe PA is more important than the CA. That is, preventive action is always a major area which I like it. But Kappa has rather than the corrective action. Of course, you tend to make mistakes, and the Kappas need to be in place and properly, right from management review, design control, change management, supply management, field remediation, and so on and so forth. So Dr. Barishkar is a master in this. Definitely, he might going to elaborate more onto this. Well, internal audits, this is more important, my dear friends. And today, last week only, we saw a news item. FEI can visit you anytime without notice. They are starting the physical audits very soon, be it MHRA or FDA or whatsoever. So you have to be on your tender. There is no the notice period for you people, for all of us. So for that, what is important is we have to respect our internal audits. Internal audits are, we have to treat internal audits more critical than external audits. Sometimes external audits might leave you, they might not look into all the intricacies or all in the micro level, and you still get it carried away. But internal audits, you should be in such a frame it in such a manner. You cannot leave any things unnoticed. So be critical on your internal audits as per the schedule. You have to undergo these internal audits periodically. Then you will be safe. You don't need to wait for the notices given by the audit authorities. So anytime tomorrow morning somebody is coming, you are already prepared. I think this is the need of the hour for every pharmaceutical industry, be it a medium scale or a large scale whatsoever. And finally, the results, of course, if you really follow all these things, the results will follow. So in this industry, the subjectivity, no subject, chalega, 99, oh, you're there, 99%. My dear friends, that 1% non-complacency will cost you dearly. And sometimes, I don't want to say that, but definitely it costs the companies hugely. And the you have to have the systematic approach. You have to have in your system the consistency and the minimize rejections, rather zeroing rejections and improve overall quality. This is the target of every stakeholder. And eventually what will happen? This improves your health of the enterprise and also the health of the people, your ultimate customers. And the costs will reduce and the quality will increase. That's what's going to happen. And eventually what is going to happen? Just now I said that it improves the health of the patients eventually and results in the customer delight. And now very brief, very small, that non-compliances, if you are not following the compliance, what is the risks of non-compliance? The common issues that arise in packaging and pharmaceutical products, especially for the exports. Of course, this is applicable for the, well, I want to play this small.
Is there an audio to it also, sir?
I'll okay. I think it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll explain. This is very. Well, this is actually the most famous, infamous rather, if you say Chicago Tylenol murders, we call the murders only. In the pharmaceutical sector, we always talk about the Chicago Tylenol murders were a series of poisoning deaths resulting from drug tampering in Chicago metropolitan area in 1982. The victims had all taken Tylenol branded acetaminophen capsules that had been laced a little bit of potassium cyanide. Really, I think we often categorize the periods pre-Chicago Tylenol effect and the post-Chicago Tylenol effect. Later on, but one must take a notice of how Johnson & Johnson handled the entire situation. Can you believe it placed the consumer first by recalling 31 million doses at the time, 1982 Tylenol capsules that even though they all might be safe, but they never compromised on the whole situation. But after that, within a year, they invested around 100 million into the system. Tylenol sales have rebounded. In 1983, the US Congress passed what was called the Tylenol bill, making it a federal offense to tamper with the consumer products. In 1989, the FDA also has come up with established federal guidelines for manufacturers to make all such products tamper-proof. In fact, that paved the way for all the product protection methods. Why I told this example is that the way Johnson & Johnson addressed this issue by the new product development, product protection methods, the ironclad pledges to do better in protecting. Working with FDA officials those days, they introduced a new tamper-proof packaging, which included the foil seals and other features that made it obvious to a consumer if foul play had transpired. It's easy to find out. But now it is it has become a common norm. So that That example made us realize what is important and how critical is our industry. As in the beginning, I was telling you, the pharmaceutical industry is different from other industries. This is how the wrong labeling, wrong labeling also, how recalls happens. Maybe in the Q&A, we can address this with H1G and inaccurate braille also sometimes cost you dearly. And translation mistakes, very small mistakes are unnoticed, but this will cost your products very much. Coding errors also, sometimes they get unnoticed, but it might result in your product recalls and huge problems. Foreign matter, as I was telling you in the beginning, a small foreign matter contamination also would cost you the entire batch, may have to be recalled sometimes. At the same time, the better quality of life through better packaging for more people. This is our World Packaging Organization mission. The product mix-ups also cost us very dearly. The same product with say different strengths or same look-alike products. It's a huge books are written on these product mix-ups. This is another great problematic area. Labeling requirements. You always have to be on your 10 toes. Whenever you're exporting to your country, unfortunately, there is no harmonious requirements. Even though we are working out with we are requesting all the FDAs to come, at least to come on a little harmony, you still have the specific requirements for a country. So you always have to be while manufacturing. You have to know the requirements of the importing country. CRSF requirements, the child residence senior friendly. Many times we think child residence is simple child residence. You have to be very careful. I can elaborate it later on in Q&A. Transit worthiness is very, very important. After doing all these efforts of producing your life-saving drugs, if they get damaged during the transit, it's not worth. So transport validation, that is very important. UN certification, the Indian Institute of Packaging is an authorized nodal agency for certificating your solid hazardous material. Finally, this statement I used to give a couple of years ago. Now it has become a trend. Packaging is your second physician. You might be wondering what it is. That today packaging is acting, especially in the post-pandemic conditions. It has become almost all the more true. It is acting like a physician, suggesting you to take the doses in time, and even it gives a feedback to the manufacturer and also the physician with the electronic integration into your product packaging. End of the day, packaging matters for this. Thank you very much for this opportunity given, LPC.
Thank you very much, sir. Excellent presentation, sir. We thoroughly enjoyed. Really, each and every aspect of presentation that manufacturing you have covered, and it is nice to have, although it was a time constraint, but the way you have covered every point is excellent. Over to you, Satwant ma'am. We have Prashant, sir. Yes.
Thank you, sir, for the elaborate presentation. In fact, when we are handling the packaging material, designing and all that, I can correlate to some of the facts what you were pointing out. But so what we will do is I'll hand over the session to Arpan right now to take Prashant sir's presentation, and the questions that is there in our minds and the audiences, we will take it up a bit later. Over to you, Arpan.
Yeah, thank you so much, Satwant ma'am. And it really gives me immense pleasure to introduce Prashant sir, because
in all
part of
Zydus, in the interest of time, Arpan, you can please completely skip the introduction.
Yeah. But sir, if I don't say one line at least that you have been a part of Zydus senior leadership team and managing the group manufacturing, site quality and operations for formulations and API at Zydus Cadila. So I'll come over directly to the questions for Prashant sir. Sir, the first question that I will like to direct to you is, what are the key challenges, sir, that pharma manufacturers across India are facing?
So in my mind, just a second. So, I think the evolving expectations of customers and regulators. So that is something which, the industry needs to continuously keep adjusting to and evolving. And ideally, you need to be ahead of the curve and not behind the curve. So, and I will put customers first and then the regulators, right? So ideally speaking, if you're in line with patient centricity, you are ensuring that your quality and compliance is ensuring patient interest, obviously regulator interest will be taken care of, because that is what regulators are trying to manage, that patients get good medicine. That's one, right? Now, the other challenge that we see, and I will not touch upon compliance in detail because Mr. Chakravarti already has given a very, very solid, robust and comprehensive understanding of compliance needs, it's important. So I think that piece he has taken care of beautifully, right? So I can completely skip that emphasis. I think it's also important for the pharma industry to recognize that most of the large organizations are actually running two organizations within, right? Two set of systems. And I'm not saying these two systems from this point of view of compliance or quality, but let's understand how these two organizations are wired. So if I look at one organization is that which faces the so-called regulated markets, right? Markets like Europe, USA, etc. And now for them, you would have a very small front line. For example, in the US, you are largely facing very, very consolidated buyer base at the US, few buyers, extremely large volumes and value, and a very small team sitting in the US managing or working with these set of buyers, but an extremely large backend, right from R&D and IP to manufacturing, quality, so on and so forth, right? So it's a huge backend that you run for them. Investments are heavy, gestation periods are high, and approval timelines are high, so on and so forth, right? The other organization that you're running is one that is facing the Indian market. Standards are again very, very high here. The regulator is again, demanding and tough. But the front line is extremely heavy, right? So you will have a large number of very committed medical representatives in the market, a large field force. Now, the backend, multiple organizations will have multiple strategies. So somebody can choose to be asset light, somebody can choose to be asset heavy. What I mean is, somebody can depend upon an outsourcing model for their manufacturing to feed the large Indian market, or somebody can say, no, I want to make all of it in-house. I mean, at Zydus, we follow largely a strategy to have highest level of controls on our quality, and most of the manufacturing, therefore, is in-house for the India market. So you're running there for two organizations, right? Practically, and they have to be driven differently. Availability of talent is a key challenge. Somewhere, if you look at the manufacturing, and since this is focused on manufacturing, the manufacturing leadership within the pharma industry, right? What you do recognize and realize is that in many of the organizations, right, we have not been able to replace talent quickly. So you will have senior leadership coming from FMCG background, senior team, senior leadership sometimes, working well beyond their 60s, 65s, people coming from different functions into manufacturing. Of course, there are people who have been very consciously groomed to lead manufacturing, etc. So, and also the shortage of talent means that there is attrition and a rotation of talent within the leadership across, right? So I think this is a challenge that the pharma industry will continue to face, wherein a growing volume, manufacturing footprint, quality footprint, expectations of regulators, meaning that you will need to have brilliant talent deployed in key functions like investigations, QMS, internal audits, etc. We are running behind the curve in this case to develop this talent. The other challenge which I foresee is, how do we de-skill talent? Now, what do I mean by de-skilling of talent? So, an opportunity which converts into a challenge is that the new level of equipment that we're buying allows us to have operators who may not need the same skill as running a process which is highly manual. So if you have developed a highly recipe, if you have a robust product, wherein you can absolutely drive the process by its recipe, then the operator intervention becomes extremely minimal compared to wherein the operator is trying to determine manually the endpoint, and then he is taking multiple decisions on the critical process parameters as the process is running. So the operator involvement, decision making on the go becomes very, very high, right? So that requires a highly skilled operator, whether it's machine setting or multiple things thereafter, right? Compare that to a highly automated machine wherein the operator will switch on the machine, the recipe takes care of everything, and the operator's involvement is mainly to ensure that alarms are being reviewed, they're being taken care of, they're being understood, so on and so forth, right? So that is a de-skilled operation. So I think that's a challenge for us. How do we de-skill the operations and thereby, right, work on, but that means also that the challenges for us are we able to actually spend time on defining a good URS for the equipment? I mean, my own experience has been that, when I talk to my colleagues in the industry, that this is often an ignored part wherein, a URS is rushed through. And then when the machine has been put together by the vendor, then we realize, oh, this feature wasn't put in, this feature wasn't put in, etc. And then we start rushing through the FATs, etc. The other challenge that I see for the pharma industry is, and we may be one of those few industries in the world wherein the lead time from the vendors for equipment range from 6 months to 18 months to 24 months. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? You try to order an injectable line, and can you get an injectable line from the time you decide to its qualified status in 5-6 months? Impossible, right? Which means that technologically, right, you're always ordering a line that will reach you 2 years later, by which time a lot of technological advancement would have happened, right? So the industry is always behind the latest technology by 2 years, because I'm sure a machine which I'm ordering, let's say today in February 2022, and it is qualified by 24 Feb, right? And I'm sure the technology in February 2024 will be very different, or at least different than what it is today. That means when I get that machine, it's already obsolete in some parts. So that's a challenge for the industry. The other challenge which I see is very inward-looking HR practices for the industry. What do I mean? And I will try to be provocative here. What I see is that the pharma industry has largely relied on not building a very diverse talent. And I will touch upon it in learning agility also. But whether you look at in terms of cost leadership, OEE, we lag behind a very similar industry. Now, when I say a similar industry in terms of, let's say you take food industry, FMCG industry, right? Somebody as simple as Coke, right? I mean, to us, it looks from a distance, a much simpler operation than pharma. But the kind of microbiology practices that they would have running an extremely high sugar-intensive liquid through their, process, all microbial contamination, all growth, driven growth possibilities are there. Now, or food industry, like somebody dealing with milk, skim milk, etc., etc. Now, those are also requiring extremely high GMP standards, right? But you look at our OEEs, Chakravarti is an expert in packaging, and he will confirm surely that our OEE on packaging lines versus an FMCG. Now, FMCG, remember that the flexibility which they need also is huge. I mean, in their festivals, they will come up with these packs wherein 3 soaps will come with 1 free soap, or they'll have a soap and then you attach a shampoo sachet to that soap, or so on and so forth, right? So all of these pack combinations, etc., are varying a lot in FMCG also. But for some reasons, we have complicated our processes over time, and somewhere we have confused how to get compliance. Maybe our problem is, our challenge is that the manpower is not very expensive in India, which means that our typical solution becomes put 2 people more on the line to do checks. When a good root cause analysis and a good CAPA would look at better automation, better de-skilled operation, and then reliance on automation and so on and so forth. But when you keep putting people for checks and balances, there's always a testing fatigue that sets in when you are constantly looking at cartons for some defect. And then you have a bad carton passing through. For you, it may be 1 in 2 lakh cartons, but for the customer, it's a single carton that he gets, which is defective, right? And that's a customer complaint. So I think, how do we ensure that within the system, we have a variety of people? Have we given focus on hiring a good balance of science graduates and pharmacy graduates and engineers, so on and so forth? What kind of talent has the industry chosen to deploy in its machines? For example, a lot of machines that the industry is buying today, when I go to the PMEX and the CPHIs, what we see is industry is constantly evolving in terms of the standards it is setting for the equipment in automation, PLCs, HMIs. You look at a machine which is 10 years old and you look at a machine today, there is less steel and more instrumentation compared to the equipment which was 10 years back, right? I mean, high amount of focus on instrumentation is there today. Have we actually modified? Has HR looked at? When I'm saying HR, don't look at HR department, right? I'm just talking of practices around HR, and line managers are absolutely the owners of these practices. So it's not about, I'm not talking about HR department or HR function. Please don't confuse that. Has the line or has the shop floor manpower mix evolved with growing level of instrumentation and automation on the line? I doubt. Right? So that's a challenge for us. Cost leadership and decoupling from China is a big challenge for the industry at large. And why? Because the customer, obviously, all the customer base, and I'm one and you are one, is getting spoiled with choices. There is a good leadership thrust right from the PMO office in India on generics, and which obviously puts pressure on everyone to ensure that the branded industry remains cost competitive. And in the US, Europe, etc., you have price erosion. You have more of bids which are focusing on costs, and therefore, whether it's the Indian market or the US, Europe market, I think everybody's focusing on getting better costs, and therefore the focus upon the industry to keep leading on costs is a big thrust area. And yes, decoupling from China. I mean, there's Winter Olympics, prices go up for items. There's a factory in China which will shut down for maintenance, prices will go up, so on and so forth, right? So I think the challenge for us is how do we vertically integrate within the nation? How does, for example, the API industry, right? Now, when we say, I have reduced my buying of APIs from India, from China, and I'm buying more APIs from India, we must still go to the second, third, fourth level of buying and understand, are the intermediates, key starting material of those APIs coming from China, or are they coming from within? And I think that for us is something that we need to understand. So these are, in my mind, the challenges that the industry faces.
Excellent, sir. So what, according to you, are the future growth drivers in the pharma manufacturing?
So I think one is we must understand the emerging landscape for the medicine. So whether it's the medicines which are becoming complex or the injectables which are becoming complex. So I think the future growth drivers will be our ability for addressing the higher level of R&D and product development. So unless the industry at large is able to invest significantly in research, develop talent which will do this R&D, and develop talent which will also scale this up very, very well with sustainable processes, I think that is the growth driver for me. Days of so you have obviously a lot of commoditized, very important but commoditized products like a metformin or an amlodipine or an atenolol, right? So very, very important medicines, but they don't offer you a competitive edge, right? The growth will obviously come for more complex medicines, so on, right? Unfortunately, you also have therapies like oncology, etc., which are unfortunately for the mankind growing. And then you have pandemics, right? So if you look at pandemic, the entire pandemic pushed the industry to innovate rapidly. And I think the way the world has developed and delivered vaccines to mankind is a case study in itself. The same thing which was taking 8 years, 10 years longer sometimes, has, the pharma industry has supported mankind with much faster timelines, supported extremely well by the regulators. Right? We are also there in this, and we are proud to have launched the first DNA-based vaccine for COVID in the world. And no, these are not mRNA vaccines or DNA-based or the other inactivated or live virus, right? So you look at the kind of, and I will not call it an opportunity, right? Because you must understand we don't see this as an opportunity for growth. We see this as an opportunity to serve mankind. Right? So now, innovation becomes the second thing, that, how are you able to rapidly innovate / scale up? And again, that gets linked to agility of supply chain, right? Are you, for example, as an organization, we had to quickly scale up to serve the world on our HCQS API and formulation manufacturing. Right? And now that is not an easy thing, right? Especially now, suddenly memory is short and we will not easily recall, but at a point in time when there was lockdown, when you have a third-party supplier for change parts in Bombay, and Bombay, Maharashtra is in complete lockdown, then you're trying to get some change parts out of a lockdown facility, talking to the collector, right? So then the agility in the system becomes extremely important. How do you scale up, right? How do you innovate with agility? I think that's one. The other I mentioned is product agility, wherein how do you deliver with high-end research, more and more complex products, whether it is oral solids or injectable, but also, growth drivers will reside in, for example, biosimilars. Right? So industry will have to keep developing newer capabilities in areas, and then along with this research, also give and manufacture and deliver to customers affordable biosimilars, affordable vaccines, right? So, and unfortunately, and I'm sure India is at the leadership. A lot of our fellow human beings in countries like Africa will not have access as quickly, and at the volume that we would want them to, if unless Indian industry rises to the occasion, right? So, and that's what has been happening, that India is now at the forefront of supplying vaccines to the world or other affordable medicines. So that's, I think, one growth driver. The other would be e-commerce. So on one hand, you will obviously have apps like multiple apps. Let's not take names, right? But that is at the customer end, but also for us at the vendor end, right? So how do we build agility at our customer supply base? How do we build agility with our C&Fs, with our entire distribution network? So that becomes an extremely important growth driver for all of us, right? How do we capture customer feedback, real time, online? How do we ensure through digital footprint that there are no counterfeits in the market, and that we're able to address such issues with the velocity and speed is important. The other growth driver that I feel is Industry 4.0 and digitalization. So for us to know what is happening on the shop floor, sometimes the industry today is not capable of reacting at less than maybe 2 shifts level, right? What I mean is, at the end of the shift, I would know what has happened, but then for the data to get processed would be another, let's say, some hours, etc. So what happened at, let's say, 8 a.m., I may not be able to respond to it before 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. Right? But the digital footprint will allow us to respond to an event happening at 8 by 8:05, because somebody would get an alert on the mobile of a CPP deviating. Now, it is still within your specifications, but the system is able to diagnose that this is a drift from what would be the UCL and the LCL, and it is not in line with my past trends, and I need to immediately act on the machine to ensure that it remains within control limits. You have better product, better productivity, and no machine stoppages, right? Because you responded to it in the right time, and therefore no OSs to investigate. So I think these are important initiatives which will drive growth, and they will release a lot of capacity, because a lot of capacity indeed is lost today for investigations, so on and so forth. So But tomorrow, if you are able to preempt, whether it's a breakdown through preventive maintenance or predictive maintenance, whether you're able to preempt process drifting and catch a CPP before it actually gets out of your specification limits and save a batch and therefore save an investigation. So then these things become extremely important for you to drive growth with the minimal cost footprint and with addition of minimal steel. Then again, one of the things that I know we will have to drive, like I mentioned earlier, we have to look at two markets, right? One is an Indian market. The emerging market will call for quicker batch changes, product changeovers, smaller batch sizes, multiple products, and then you will have some markets wherein the batch sizes will run in 2, 3, 4, 5 million pills, right? So then you have 1 lakh or 2 or 3 lakh pills batch size, and you have a 20 lakh, 30 lakh, 40 lakh pill batch size, 50 lakh pill batch size, and you're trying to figure out how do I manage this. And this is what I've been a fan of Professor Saral Mukherjee from IIM Ahmedabad, who has been talking about this concept called the cheetah plant and the elephant plant. The elephant plant is large volume, less changeovers, steady production, economies of scale. And the cheetah plant, which is quick changeovers, smaller batch sizes, very, very agile. And for us to be able to grow, we'll have to bifurcate our manufacturing into these two sets, elephant plants and cheetah plants, and then grow these two with very different manufacturing strategies, different set of minds being applied, different set of automation being applied, so on and so forth. So I think these are the growth drivers which industry will need to focus on.
Fantastic, sir. In fact, the hallmark for any great organization is the learning. So how do you ensure learning agility across hierarchy, sir?
Learning agility is one of my favorite topics. I love. So if you look at my own career graph, I was groomed in supply chain. Within supply chain, I have moved from purchasing to planning to logistics, etc., etc. I have, I'm very lucky to have been working for Zydus, wherein the organization has betted on its talent. I am only one of those examples. There are many more examples. But since I am here, I'll talk about myself. And I was moved from supply chain to head IT as well. And then from supply chain plus IT, I was moved to HR. And from HR, I was moved to manufacturing, quality, these functions, right? So the organization, actually Zydus, has, and there are more examples. Our current head of India business is one such example, right? So you have, now how do you groom and create learning agility? See, one is you have psychometric tests which will tell whether a person has learning agility. It's a topic by itself, so I'll keep it brief. The way you will also groom learning agility is by taking people through formative experience. Let me give a quick example. For example, you and I, let's say we are two engineers on coding, right? Why I'm using coding, software coding is because it's extremely, extremely identical or replicate. You can easily replicate. So both of us are working on the same project. You and I, Arpan, and we go to Brazil for a 3 months project. We are in the same apartment. I have one room, you have another room, therefore eating the same food. We are going to the same client, working on the same project. You are working on one part of coding, I'm working on another part of coding. At the end of 3 months, we come back to India. Now, this is what is called a formative experience, right? When we come back, I have not really much changed for me, but you have suddenly got 200 more Facebook friends from Brazil. Your weekends you spent in trying to learn the local language. You picked up Portuguese better than I. Your weekends you moved around the country, trying to see various parts. You spent some of your own money, invested that in knowing a new culture, right? You learned to cook some local food and learned some recipes, made some real friends, not just Facebook friends, and have come back, right? Now, this is learning agility. We had the same formative experience, but you worked on learning from this formative experience. How does organization build people with learning agility? You immerse them in multiple projects. You create developmental journeys for them, wherein you're taking them through curated diversity programs. The challenge which I see in pharma is, I see a lot of discomfort in people willing to take risks. People in the biggest pain that I have, when I came into manufacturing, my immediate thing was, can I get people from NIPER, right, the best of talent, to get into manufacturing? I completely failed. It's so miserable to have had that experience. If you look at people from College of Pharmacy at BHU, or the best people that they do not want to come to manufacturing. They simply want to get into formulation development or QA, R&D, but no, they will not want to come into manufacturing. Right? But that's what is feeding the industry. That is what is growing the industry. That's where you need your best people to work. Not that you don't need best people in QA and R&D, etc., but absolutely also in manufacturing. Right? Somewhere these people have chosen not to get into learning agility driven formative experiences. So you ask a solid guy in QA, would you want to move into manufacturing for a couple of years? No. You ask a solid guy in manufacturing, would you want to move into R&D for a few years? No. You ask a very solid guy in R&D, would you want to move into IP for a few years? No. The pharma industry, the talent I have seen is so rigid. They don't want to take any risks. They don't want to move around. All they want to do often, and I'm sorry being provocative, is okay, I'll move from company A to company B at a designation higher. At least 40, 50, maybe sometimes 70% of CVs which I get to consider are people who have not stayed in the same company for more than 2-3 years. And they have been hopping. And they've been hopping designations, and the industry, because we have not developed talent well, is desperate to take these people also, who we know may not stay for more than 2-3 years, right? Or sometimes 1 or 2 years. And so I think we have failed, if I can use a word, pharma industry in particular. You look at FMCG, you look at their talent development. For years, the best companies in FMCG have been hiring talent irrespective of market conditions from IIMs, IITs, RECs, the best colleges, right? And engineers are doing non-engineering jobs, so on and so forth. I don't think Hindustan Lever or Nestle or Marico, they hire talent laterally, right? You will not, most of them are being groomed from within. And their job rotations are rampant. Somebody is doing this today, he will get into a different function tomorrow. Whether it's the same country, sometimes different countries, that is creating developmental journeys focused on grooming learning agility. In our case, people will develop in pharma industry 1 inch wide and 1 mile deep as SMEs, subject matter experts or specialists. But you will not have enough people who are 1 mile wide and 1 inch deep, right? That they have also a breadth of experience across multiple domains, so they can make better holistic decisions which will have a solid impact. And I'm not saying everybody needs to do this. Please understand, not 100% of your employees need to be exposed to all, but you will have to have a set of people who undergo job rotations across functions, across sites. To the extent my own experience with, when I talk to my colleagues across industries, people are not even willing to shift from site 1 to site 2. Forget across functions. So I think that is something which the pharma industry has to wake up to. Do we have enough engineers on the shop? Are we hiring enough engineers? Are we hiring enough people from pure sciences, from chemistry, pure chemistry? And are we grooming them to be there? Are we hiring enough process engineers, right, on the shop floor to help us? So I think the diversity of talent is a challenge on our shop floors, and enough has not been done by the pharma industry. And unless we facilitate the structured programs wherein people are incentivized internally, I mean, they have to have that motivation internally, but also through the organizational structures to move across functions, to move across sites, we will have this challenge continue with us, and people will have to step outside comfort zones. Organizations will have to sponsor risk. That yes, it is possible that you move from quality to manufacturing. You may not do extremely well. Don't worry, it's not a failure. We will move you back to a function, but at least 30, 40, 50, 70% people may succeed in that. The balance 30% should not be penalized. They should be supported by the organization with a safety net. And that's how you will encourage learning agility within the organization.
Fantastic, sir. A wonderful learning journey. And my final question would be, sir, what is your message to today's leaders on building a high performance team?
I think first of all, they must evaluate, are they leaders or managers? And the challenge with some industries, insecurity. I'm sure it's there in all, but right. I mean, I belong to this industry, so I'll talk about this industry, right? And which means that have people hired people who are better than them, right? I can proudly say that, you know, all the people that we try to hire in our organization, we have an outsourced assessment process. We assess leadership traits through a third party and then use these reports to work with talent at the selection stage. So the question is, am I hiring people who complement my behavioral traits, who complement my leadership style? And do I have diversity of talent within my team? A. B, those people are better than me on what they do. Right? They must be. And then only will I release bandwidth at my stage. That is only when I can truly empower. So I think the only message is A, hire people better than you. B, provide and create formative experiences for them, right? And empower them, liberate them, let them take decisions. Your job as a boss or as a leader or as a manager is to ensure that there's a safety net within this system. No mistakes at the cost of customer, right? If you do mistakes, no problem. Correct them within the GMP backdrop, within your organizational boundaries of values, right? You are a custodian of the values of the organization and society at large. But ensure that you are hiring people who are smarter, grooming them and giving them opportunities so that you are free from daily operational matters and to think, and you have people who are better than you. I think that's my message.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. In fact, you said something very nice, sir, that empowering employees is the best way to make them good performers. Absolutely correct, sir. And thank you so much for giving us your time. In fact, you were having a constraint of time, but thank you so much for answering these questions. We still have more questions, but since you would not be able to take them, so we will send it across to you so that you can answer them later in this program. So, yeah, thank you so much, Prashant, sir, for your time, for such wonderful knowledge sharing. We will be very indebted to you for this.
I'm indebted to all of you. And it was a pleasure listening to Mr. Chakravarti. And Ranjit, my apologies. I'm sorry. I have a hard stop now. I mean, it is my loss entirely that I'll not be able to hear you, but I've heard you in many platforms. So I know this is a big loss for me, but
Doctor, we have a recorded version in the YouTube. You can go through that.
Prashant, you don't worry about this. Your presentation was really good, extempo discussion, and I also learned a lot today from the manufacturing head, operational head, who was a president and now chief technical officer of Zydus, one of the best companies in India. And I have seen you acting there in the plant. I have seen your whole strategy of carrying over the burden of manufacturing of all the plants.
Thank you, sir.
So it's tremendous achievement by you, and I'm also learning from you even every day.
No, sir. Thank you so much.
We all look at him with a great admiration, and every time speaking to Mr. Prashant is a great learning from people like all of us.
True.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful insights.
True.
Thank you very much, sir. We had taken Mr. Prashant's time till 12, but we are so engrossed into the learning, we did not realize the time. So thank you very much. Over to Satwan ma'am for the next speaker, that is none other than Ranjit sir. So Satwan ma'am, over to you.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. And it was I'll give a little brief, we had a good learning session from Mr. Chakravarti and Prashant sir. Also, I think it's setting the ball rolling, and more pearls of wisdoms we will learn from Ranjit sir with his experience of over 51 years in the pharma industry, especially in the quality management, R&D, manufacturing, regulatory, US FDA, European Union, WHO. And he is the Mr. Ranjit Barshikar is an recipient of many awards like Quality Champion Gold by the by the Government of India, Quality Council of India, Lifetime Achievement by the International UNICEF Council USA, 100 Most Impactful Healthcare Leader Global awarded by World Health Congress /ET. He has also been awarded the Pharma Ratna by the largest NGO Rabdi Meher, and along with other 34 other awards, he is a recipient. And currently, he is the CEO of the QBD. I love this terminology, QBD, International Quality by Design, CGMP Consulting, Biopharma Pharma, and he is also currently the United Nations Geneva Advisor. He is on the member of editorial board of Journal of Generic Medicine, England. And we are privileged to have him, Ranjit sir. He is an expert on quality by design, data integrity, CAPA, quality culture, and various other CGMP subjects. He has worked as quality experts with World Bank, Washington, USA, also is with the Saudi Arabia FDA, and he has traveled globally to 70 countries, delivering 502, 500, my God, it's 5 century presentations and in conferences and as a chairman or keynotes, and it is he's addressing, he has already addressed 75 webinars till date in the last 18 months. Oh my God, it's an webinar thon, I will say, and various other pharma subjects he has spoken. So we are privileged to have Dr. Ranjit Barshikar on this panel LPC 96. And we would like to listen from his rich experience of over 5 decades in the pharma industry. And I am eagerly awaiting to listen to the pearls of wisdoms today. So over to you, Ranjit sir.
In fact, sir is an industry itself.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, sir. We are
Exactly.
so grateful for you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the kind introduction I had from Satyavanji. Our great colleagues, Dr. Chakravarti, made an extremely good beginning, which he calls as a basic. I don't think it is a basic, doctor, because those challenges are still faced by the industry today. So those basic things are very, very crucial even today from compliance perspective. So you have thrown almost A to Z key areas from the compliance and non-compliance perspective, which is great to hear in his nice way of communication. And afterwards, Prashant, who carried forward that with his wisdom on his experiences of the industry's current challenges, his challenges which he faced in Zydus, as well as the growth driver from the industry. Very aptly, he mentioned several things. Now I'm going to carry forward the same thing. I'm not able to see my screen there.
So you need to share your screen,
Green,
sir.
share screen green.
I am aware. I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
seeing the focus of my on the screen.
So yes. So
No
we are
problem.
having you.
Zoom link. You have to click on Zoom link at the bottom, sir.
Is there. Everything is there. Don't worry about that. I will straight away go for my presentation.
Yes.
Right, sir.
Okay. Now here I'm going to talk. I'm going to explain further the point which Prashant was mentioning about digital footprint and why it is important for the industry today to come out of non-compliance as a very big challenge. Okay? So I would like to move to my presentation. Please allow me. If something is missing, please let me know on that. Are you able to see it?
Yes, sir. Pharma 4.0.
That's right. That's great. So this is the concept which has come up in last few years in the pharmaceutical industry. And why it is important is, as Prashant has rightly mentioned, about the compliance challenges, to minimize the problems, to address the issues timely, to have a better business strategy. So from that perspective, this Pharma 4.0 has and is and will be of a great importance in time to come as well. So as a way ahead, when I'm now talking to next almost 4 years now period, okay, what it is going to be and what pharma should do, pharmaceutical industry, from the perspective of the compliances. So as Dr. Chakravarti mentioned initially, the basic concept of non-compliances, why it is happening, what are the issues industry is facing, further carrying forward by Dr. Prashant. And now I'm moving ahead, the next 4 to 5 years, what is expected from the industry and why. And I'm going to focus this, though the time is too short, and some other time I would like to explain this for more than an hour in detail, how to address these compliance issues. But I'm going to have only the overview today because of time constraint. So where we are talking of Pharma 4.0, what it is going to be, which I'm going to discuss now, what is going to be cultural excellence and why cultural excellence is required from the perspective of quality maturity. So all these areas, as we move ahead today onwards, to ensure the safety of patients, to ensure consistency in manufacturing, to ensure satisfied customers, not only the patients, but regulators as well. So what it is upgrading the business to incorporate new digital features and enablers into the pharmaceutical quality system. It creates more connectivity and transparency. Today, what is happening, there are several silos happening in the organizations. It's not only one organization, almost all the organizations, silos are there. Egos are floating at the top level. So this automation perspective, it is bringing all the activities together, connecting all the activities and removing the silos, absolutely, because of the transparency in the operations, faster decision making, and cultural excellence, where I have always talk of manufacturing leadership, the organization leadership, to cascade down the cultural aspect that focus only on quality, and not at all on quantity. So quality and culture of quality and achieving excellence in that, right from top to the lower level in the organization, is the key for achieving Pharma 4.0. So what is the vision there we talk of? Is ACT P. ACT P is agility, connectivity, transparency, and productivity. And all these silos automatically will get dissolved with the help of this ACT P concept, because now we are moving toward digitalized and connected computerized system. And now whole manufacturing site, the corporate offices will get connected maximum through the computerized system, through the digitalization of all the operations, and keeping in mind the regulatory authorities requirement, compliance requirement, so that including the activities right from marketing, sales, supply chain, R&D, quality, manufacturing, warehouses, distribution channels, all get connected through this system as a vision. So what it is? So what is this ISPE 4.0 concept? The ISPE is International Science and Pharmaceutical Engineering, one of the topmost organization in the world from the pharmacy and the pharmaceutical world is concerned, which has got higher weightage into the regulatory authorities as well worldwide. So when you look at this screen from your left-hand side, from pharmaceutical development till the product analytics, product manufacturing, commercial manufacturing, and monitoring of the product as a part of ICH guideline, which has been issued right from as a management responsibility to achieve the compliances, right from control strategy to manufacturing control, where we talk of 4 quality system elements, which are CAPA system, change management, management review, and total defect-free manufacturing. And this was the concept which ISPE began their activity, where now there is advancement from new pharmaceutical quality system perspective, where we are talking of digitalization, workforce 4.0, holistic network integration for a proper right traceability up to the patient level, complete supply chain monitoring, and the monitoring of the processes, control strategy in life cycle activity of a product is the key, and having right decision making and communication as a good cultural activity in the organization is going to help as an enabler for a stronger compliance to ICH Q10, which is a pharmaceutical quality system. But now Pharma 4.0 is adding 2 new enablers to that, and that is compliance to data integrity by design and digital maturity. Now, one of the pain points, this is in addition to the what Dr. Chakravarti as well as Dr. Prashant mentioned earlier, the data integrity compliance has been a biggest challenge to the industry for last more than a decade. Several organizations got warning letter from US FDA, non-compliances certificate from European regulatory agencies, and having a detrimental effect on Indian manufacturing companies. And Indian generic companies suffered badly by way of revenue, but most important was you can say from the perspective of the image of the organization, and not only organization, but the credibility of the country as well. So that was detrimental to the compliance activity of Indian generic organizations. And now this new enabler, which is called a data integrity by design, the word which is coined by quality by design, extrapolating to data integrity by design with the support of digital maturity. So which is very, very important concept which is coming up from Pharma 4.0 by ISPE. So where we talk of digital maturity from the information system perspective, the culture of the organization, the processes in the organizations, the right way of monitoring the processes, strategy for right monitoring strategy. So monitoring is not only quality control, monitoring is the critical process parameters, critical quality attributes of a product, and having a right resources So that whole concept of Pharma 4.0 with the help of digital maturity is going to lead the organization for a betterment for tomorrow. So if you see from that perspective, the industry 4 here you see industry first, second, third, and fourth, and we are into the industry 4 today, cyber physical system, which predicts what will go wrong in during manufacturing, what can go wrong during testing, and when it will go wrong, and how to avoid it before the risk happens, before the failure happens. That is exactly what Pharma 4.0 we are talking about. So it is totally connected plant with the help of algorithms, intelligent controls, and automated data collection system. So millions of data points are generated in every small activities, and all these are today the industry is not aware how to collect it. But including Indian IT systems, including Indian IT companies, the global organizations have helped the pharma industry to understand how to access these regularly generated data, which is a big potential from the compliance perspective to minimize the defect in manufacturing. So this connected plant is going to help us now to synchronize all the activities in the factory from digital and physical value system perspective. So this will improvise our quality and production, reliability of manufacturing, and tremendous saving at the end of the compliances perspective. So we are transforming now the quality from good to great quality. So we are looking at a very strong strategy for quality compliance as a vision of the organization and the culture of the organization in every department of the company, whether it is a purchase, whether it is a finance, whether it is end supply chain up to the distribution level. So these enablers are going to give a strong support for that is a pharmaceutical quality organization, and the decision-making process is going to support us to achieve the culture of compliances in the organization. So now, if you maybe whoever are in this today, the participants who are from the pharmaceutical industry, they will realize the 3-4 decades ago we were quality by testing, and we were only testing the end product, and then we switched over more than a decade ago into quality by design. Means we are designing quality into the product at R&D level itself, so the manufacturing cannot go wrong if the proper process has developed, a robust process is developed by R&D. And today, now we are moving another step ahead to support quality by design concept. So quality by design is going to be supported by Pharma 4.0, and that is monitoring the critical processes to move towards smart manufacturing. And the ISP has coined this word, even including US FDA has issued the guideline on smart manufacturing, which is at the draft stage, and that there we call it as a quality by control. Now we have changed from quality control to quality by control. What is that? What does that mean? It means monitoring the processes effectively to move towards smart manufacturing, fully automated system. So whole activity of monitoring the critical processes will be completely automated, and quality by design supports that right from R&D itself. So both these technologies, the Pharma 4.0, a digital activity, a digital footprint, in combination with quality by design, is going to be a great revolution in the pharmaceutical industry in next 5 years time. This is you can see on your screen, this enabling technology for small factory is the right from the enables. What it enables is cloud computing, sensors, the digitalized manufacturing data, the networking devices. The sensors and devices could be wireless, can be carried in your hand wherever you travel, wherever inside you go to the site, right from security to the warehouses and back to manufacturing or wherever you want to go, or testing lab. With the help of big data, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, as a strong enables. Even digital twins are also helping nowadays. Though digital twin is now at the nascent stage, but whole this activity with the cyber security and wireless network is helping us. At home also we are having wireless network in today's systems. If you see the fiber optics, lot of things are changing now, even in residential when you handle smartphones. So basic concept remains the same, but we are now converting the manufacturing activity, all the operations at the site, along with the purchase and finance connections, as a strong enabler to achieve the goals of smart factory with the help of real-time AR, augmented reality, or VR, virtual reality. And this is how it is going to work. Centralized wireless network, completely centralized Wi-Fi system. And one small example is given on the bottom of the screen, is how this is a tablet manufacturing process, different steps. You can see here the process analytical technology is going to help us, along with the Pharma 4 concept, digital concept, with the help of different external data coming from the suppliers, the need of the patients, the regulatory agencies, and what market wants, together as a stakeholder, and internally as your own cloud systems, private cloud systems, the server-based system which is going into the cloud, monitoring the right from control services till simulation. The complete information of all the operation at the site will be captured by the own cloud, and then dashboard, energy dashboard, and other external cloud system which can be attached as and when required. All these will completely monitor your manufacturing operations seamlessly. Human intervention is completely minimized. Testing becomes completely automated, and it is real-time release of the batch. So no human intervention, no sampling is required. Complete finished product is ready for dispatch as soon as batch is complete, because it is real-time release. So we are moving towards that now. And even packaging operation also is fully automated. As soon as tablets are compressed or coated if required, they will go for packaging, which is also monitored by this Pharma 4.0 digitalized system. And the benefits: agile manufacturing, consistency and reproducibility in robust processes, transparency. The regulators are very happy with if we show them transparency in our operations, whether it is issuing the materials, whether it is testing the material, whether it is checking the online monitoring process, and how you are handling real-time release activity with the help of quality assurance. Because now every employee is becoming quality person. Whole activity of quality is today also is a responsibility of every person in the organization. now there is a ownership. So the faster decision making, it very high productivity we are getting, high productivity, as Dr. Prashant was mentioning, the digital footprint is helping us for predictability of failure, which I will discuss subsequently as well, and speedier launch of the product and huge cost saving. So Pharma 4.0 is moving towards a seamless connectivity of all the operations, collecting the data and have a digitized record and processes. All these will tell you, my dear friends, my dear participants today, that we are moving towards completely paperless activity in pharmaceutical manufacturing. And as soon as the action is performed, it is digitally getting recorded. Anything is going wrong in advance, we will get notice, alerts. You are addressing immediately next minute the issue and moving forward without having any rejections of the batches. You don't have to have a reprocessing. So there is a tremendous cost savings when we start moving into the Pharma 4.0 compliances. So thank you very much, my dear friends. And I'm open for any questions if you have.
Ma'am, you're mute. Ma'am, you're mute.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you
yes,
so
yes.
very much for your presentation, taking us through the Pharma O, the benefits, the processes that is happening. And we are basically from the sales and marketing. We never understood the gravity of the thought process. Of course, we know it is all happening, but so much of shift is happening from pharmacy, Pharma 1 to 4.0. I think we need to mute some. Yeah, sorry, there was some noise. So, so coming back to your presentation, it was absolutely learning enriched with the new learnings. I don't think we had such type of presentation earlier. So,
Madam, since you mentioned marketing and sales, some other time
yeah.
I will give a presentation on how this can be used in marketing and sales.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We will love to have that. And in fact, even the packaging part, what was spoken by Mr. Chakravarti, that is also lots of, because we have not posed questions. So there are lots of things, because
Yes.
all these things benefits us when we are face to face with the customers, with the doctors, the benefit that the patient, everything what we are working is towards the patient centric. So it was absolutely enriching, understanding what is Pharma 4.0, what is how the industry is moving to Pharma O and 4.0, and what are the benefits it's going to have. So there was one terminology for the benefit of the people, audiences. I will like say we have been talking about the kappa. Kappa is the corrective and preventive actions, which not only in the manufacturing, even at every step, stage of our life, or every actions we do have this kappa processes we do. So kappa is corrective and preventive action. Pat, what we spoke about in your presentation is process analytical technology. And we have been talking about quality by design, quality by control. Now how we are going towards the quality by control. Sir, we have, I would like to, you have covered most of the point and even the advantages what are there. But I understand, sir, you had a great interaction with Dr. Alan Meyerson on the MIT on continuous manufacturing and process analytical technology. So we would love to listen more about your experience of interaction with it, because most of the other parts I think you have covered to the presentation. And as you said, we would love to have you back of connecting the dots between manufacturing and the marketing and sales. Yes, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your query, doctor. And it's always a pleasure to meet the big names. Okay. And I was extremely lucky to have met the inventor of continuous manufacturing, Dr. Alan Myers, is today also he's working there. He's MIT professor and researcher, and MIT had tied up with Novartis. This was sometime in 2012 or 13, and with a $50 million project to develop a science or the machine which will speed up high volume products uninterrupted, day in and day out. Look at the thinking of the Novartis. And I really appreciated the whole concept. Now, I was extremely lucky to have met him when I visited Rutgers University. And he had come there personally in one of the programs there. And then there I requested him, sir, I would like to meet you if you can give your valuable time. And he said, certainly, let's have dinner together. And I was so surprised. So he hosted a dinner for me, gave 3 hours, madam. And to get 3 hours from such a big personality. So I thank God that I'm really lucky that I have been meeting this gentleman today, and he gave me complete background of continuous manufacturing. I had this some information because of my association with my last employment as an employment global quality head at Ranbaxy, and where I had initiated whole program of process analytical technology, and which US FDA had liked it very much, and they invited me to visit their PAT laboratory in Washington, Maryland. And they hosted me there for 2 days. I was staying there at their cost. And they explained me completely about PAT, and I learned a lot there from them. And that helped me to discuss the whole concept of PAT, continuous manufacturing, with Dr. Alan Myers.
Okay.
Now, he being the inventor, he gave me complete technology, how it works, with the help of hundreds of ultra reactors into that, with the machine of 8 by 3 meters. And that, why I was stunned to understand the concept, because that machine manufactures active drug substance, madam.
Okay.
And my dear friends, these ultra reactors are manufacturing active drug substance, or we call it as API.
Right.
And immediately it is converted to the tablet.
Oh.
Immediately. Such a great concept, and that is why I was extremely happy, and I'm using this and I'm quoting him always in my various talks wherever I go world over about the knowledge that gentleman has and how he has given a tremendous, I would like to call you earlier your colleague asked, growth driver.
Yeah.
So I am looking that as a growth driver to pharmaceutical industry. And that continuous manufacturing, high volume product of any organization, if you install this, spend money on this, which is a capex, okay,
Yeah,
major capex, but in the long run, you have ROI in 3 years, which we have calculated. And because you save changeover time, because you are having real-time release testing, because your complete critical processes are monitored by process analytical technology. And process analytical technology has 2 functions mainly: to monitor the process, and as well as the end product of that process to be tested. So this PAT technology is of great help to comply with continuous manufacturing. And this continuous manufacturing now has started in India also. And I was very happy when I read the certain document in one of the conferences of Dr. Reddy's and some other companies. They are using it in partly in API manufacturing, especially crystallinity or crystallization stage, which is very critical. And their continuous same product, then different batches will come, but same product crystallization will happen continuously, day in and day out, to move the productivity faster and give a better product quality of API. Now, the same concept will happen in next few years for formulations as well. Singapore, different multinationals have started implemented it. I have visited that time their Pfizer plant, and they have explained to me how they are. By the way, I'm ex-Pfizer, right? For
yes,
50
I know
years.
that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pfizer, Leica, Renbaxy, now which is Sun. Yes, sir.
And so I'm very proud that I was associated with the topmost company in the world and
Yes.
topmost generic company in the world that time.
Correct, sir. Correct.
And I'm very proud about that. And I always feel nice when I tell to any of my audience globally. So the Singapore Pfizer plant has a beautiful 3 such facilities,
Okay.
where one product continuously they are manufacturing. So this continuous manufacturing is a concept of buying the intermediates, load it into this machine where minimum organic solvents are required. Minimum organic solvents advantage is impurities are low. The stability of the product of API goes up. And when you are having lower organic solvents in API and you convert that into the tablet, the stability of the tablet goes up because impurity levels are very, very low. That's a very strong plus point. And very good quality of the product comes out. Addition to that is that your monitoring time is as good as maximum 1 minute.
Okay.
Testing of the process, because as soon as the process is complete, you are getting printed result of the data, and immediately you are moving to the next step. So that normally few hours to several days it takes to go to the next step, by which time the whole time of the material of earlier stage is longer, and which can deteriorate the product.
Yes.
Now in continuous manufacturing, that problem gets solved, and hence the quality goes up. And then automatic testing, printed results, every tablet you can test. Non-destructive testing, a tremendous advantage. And then when the tablets come out, again it is tested there as a tablet and goes for packaging. And then packaging is connected to this system automatically out of that manufacturing block towards packaging block. And that packaging is also connected to the process related activities for testing purpose, that how the packaging is happening, whether the sealing is proper, whether are there any defective tablets into the system or a capsule in the system, or the liquid bottles, if there are they sealed properly, each vial of the sterile product, whether it is properly sealed or not, is there any integrity issue, everything is done perfectly. And I am extremely happy with this kind of system, and I was very, very pleased with myself that I could meet this gentleman.
Dr. Allen.
Absolutely beautiful concept of continuous manufacturing. That is the way to go ahead as a growth driver.
In fact, sir, what you have just mentioned, the process, and like, at the back of my mind, some scenes were flying by. If we see like the post-corona, today the emphasis is our dependency for the API is very high on the China, and because of the corona period, we have faced the problems of the increased cost of the product and the increased cost of the API. I believe this technology, the Pharma 4.0, what continuous manufacturing process, what we are speaking about, if it is brought in, I think our dependency on the China will reduce drastically, and we will be able to have our own APIs and the quality products, very soon. I believe that, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Just 1 minute I need, ma'am. It is a wonderful conversation, but due to constraint of time, Chakravarti sir has to leave. He is having some appointment. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for being a part of Life Pharma Coalition. We are really humbled and grateful to you. Yes, sir. So we'll definitely want to have you in future also in Life Pharma Coalition. It is a great learning from you, and we'll definitely keep in touch with you. Thank you very much for being a part.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
I
very
promise
much.
you, I'll come back again.
Yes,
with,
please.
insights once again.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Saab, thank you very much. You came at my request to this program. I'm very, very happy for that, honoring my request. Thanks again.
It's really a great pleasure listening to you, legends, my friends Prashant Sharma and you always. And it was a wonderful coordination and moderation by Satwant Madam and Arpanji and Yashwanji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I promise I'll come back once.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So
Thank
nice.
you so much, Chakravarti
Thank
sir.
you.
We were really overwhelmed by the pearls of wisdom that you shared with all of us. Thank you so much.
And before we move ahead, a quick recognition of all the active participants. Mr. Pankaj Srivastava has appreciated the session. Pankaj Srivastava, ICS Verma, Himanshu Bhatt, Arumugam Arasan, Nasiruddin Chisti, thank you very much. Jitendra Bharadwaj, Vishal Chandra from Germany attending, thank you very much, Vishal. Jitendra Maurya, Vikramaditya Jha, thank you very much. And Mr. Vinod Vaswani, Kushagra Mathur, Bhavik Patil, thank you very much everyone for appreciation. Over to you, Satyavant ma'am, for continuation. I also have one more session, so definitely I will keep in touch. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir is also pointing out. Thank you so much for answer, as you have promised that you will bring, come again and connect the dots between the manufacturing and the marketing and sales. Because there is one point which is there, before we close the session, sir. I remember during the we had one Etoricoxib launch that was around 15-16 years back, and I was in Zydus, and during the launch phase I was there. The first mover advantage, and I really felt that how the manufacturing part, the people behind the manufacturing, how they play a very important role in the success of the brands in the market, because there was so much of war that was happening. Who has the API will be the one who will have a first mover advantage for the launch of Etoricoxib. Glenmark and Zydus, we both, and many other companies, they were there, and we were all on tender hooks, like who gets the first approval and who has an API will be the winner in this market. And API, we had a little stocks available in indigenously manufactured in Zydus. So we had that first mover advantage. So when you were talking about all these processes or the Pharma 4 advantage, I'm sure, sir, we look forward to one more session of having Prashant sir, Chakravarti sir, and you to connect the dots between the manufacturing, the advantages of Pharma 4.0 and the marketing and sales, sir. Thank you so much, sir, taking us through this whole session of pharma, the advantages of how the industry is moving to industry 4.0, Pharma 4.0, the advantages, benefits if it is adopted into our our manufacturing units. And I'm sure the audiences, there are many manufacturers who are listening, the marketing guys who are listening, they will benefit immensely through our presentations. Thank you so much, sir, for coming to LPC-96 and enriching us.
Satwanji, in fact, the one step ahead of that also is use of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Now the industry is going ahead with that.
Correct, sir.
Absolutely. Some other time on the artificial intelligence
we look forward to
applications, and that is really beautiful. absolutely amazing artificial intelligence.
Right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And over to you, Arpan.
Yeah, thank you so much, Satwant ma'am. It was a wonderful knowledge sharing by some wonderful speakers that we had today on LPC platform. In fact, manufacturing has always been a forte that sales and marketing people have been very averse. And today, in fact, the insights that were delivered to you, my apologies for the short time that was provided, because probably you could have continued for much more longer. But still then the insights that you provided us within this short limited period of time were extremely encouraging for all of us. And in fact, lots of untold chapters were revealed to us during this time. So thank you so much for being a part of LPC platform and allowing us to share screen space with you. Sir, yes, thank you so much, sir. It's said that when a bird is alive, it eats ants and insects. But when the bird dies, the insects and ants eat him up. From one tree, millions of matchsticks can be made, but one matchstick has the power to burn a million trees. So that is why circumstances can change at any time. So never devalue or hurt anyone in life. We may be the most powerful person, but time is more powerful than all. And at LPC, it is such a wonderful platform for knowledge sharing. And this knowledge sharing has something that has carried us through these 96 episodes. And in the next 4 sessions, we will be celebrating the 100th episode. So thank you so much, speakers, for being a part of this journey of LPC and encouraging us with your wonderful learnings and sharings. So just a small word of caution to everybody that the COVID pandemic is still not over. So we should still exercise COVID appropriate behaviors of mask, sanitizing, and social distancing. A vote of thanks for Imagica Health, who has been our session support partner. So thank you so much, Imagica Health, for being so supportive for the LPC sessions. So now I would like to thank the speakers, my co-moderators, that is Satwant ma'am and Yashwant sir, and to all our audience who have been a fabulous part of our learning journey. So thank you so much. So this is Arpan Kumar Paul signing off from LPC 96 with a promise of once again joining with you all next Sunday with a new set of speakers, with a new set of learnings and a new set of experiences. So thank you and goodbye, all of you.
You all have done wonderful job. All of you have moderated very well. I appreciate very much. Thank you very much again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Bye.
Good day.
Thank you. So from here, I'm ending this meeting now.